Welcome everybody to today's live stream of the Flesh and Blood Competitive Team League. This is Andy Modell with the Hyperloops, and I am joined by Nate, also with the Hyperloops.
Howdy.
All right, so today we have a game between Tyler Horspool on the left, playing Prism, and Joe Colin on the right. Both of these players' names you might remember from the Calling Las Vegas, where Tyler ended up taking home first prize, and Joe made it into the top 8 as the #1 seed after Swiss. It looks over here like we have on Tyler Prism, the hero that he ended up winning in Vegas with, and on Joe's side, while he has the chain playmat, he's done well with chain in the past, he is using Bravo Star of the Show.
So it'll be interesting to see who goes first. Here, obviously Prism gets a large advantage being able to go first, and then if Prism can lay down double auras turn 1,
#1 seed after Swiss.
Ty will be in a really good spot. I know that you played a lot of Starvo and ProQuest, and Prism's not always an easy matchup, but depending on how the deck's built and how you play the matchup, you can gain incremental advantage throughout.
Yeah, that's right. I would say that of all of the heroes for Bravo Star of the Show to be playing into, Prism is certainly one of the most difficult, though it is certainly not a one-way game. There are definitely ways that the Starvo player can try and prevent Prism from gaining the advantage that she likes to, and Prism, on the other hand, if she doesn't draw a lot of those double aura turns, can have a hard time really establishing that board state that she needs to dominate Bravo.
In knowing Joe, I don't think he will be on the like Michael Hamilton style version of Starvo. I think he will be more on a higher element count, which will allow him to have the go again. And the key when going in you can't let the aura stack up. If you're playing in the Prism, it doesn't matter what hero you're playing, you just can't let the aura stack up because that's when you start losing. So.
Yeah, that's right. The more board state Prism has, the harder it is for her to lose. So as Bravo, star of the show, Joe is going to be making sure that he keeps that aura count down throughout the game. Once that gets out of hand, it could be a slippery slope to the end.
Yep. And you're seeing Joe even kind of playing into that with the choice of equipment, running Snapdragon Scalers here just for that extra go again, because if the auras stack up and then the prismatic shields start to stack up, the spectral shields start to stack up, then that's when it can get really dicey if you can just pitch a yellow and come in with 5+ Kodachis. So being able to threaten the shields and an aura on the turn is where you need to be almost every turn. Otherwise, you're going to run into some issues.
Yep, it looks like Joe went first, choosing just to tick up his Tunic and Arsenal, and Tyler is coming in here with a Miraging Metamorph. This is one of the new Everfest attacks for Prism, and this is a powerful 1 for 7. If it's destroyed, then it's going to copy an aura. Right now, we don't see any aura on Tyler's side, but there is still the possibility that he flashes in one of those instants in order to use Miraging Metamorph's effect, should Joe pop Phantasm.
It'll be interesting if he has a 7, if he chooses to use it or not, or just takes 7, because he has to have a blue and a 4-cost instant aura to put into play. It's a huge punish if Tyler has it here, but if he doesn't, then popping it, having to pay the extra resource can really just kind of end the turn here for Tyler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joe choosing to activate the Crown of Seeds and block with just the shield, it looks like, taking 5 damage over the top of those two. So he's not choosing to take that risk that we identified over here. Let's see what Tyler ends up doing. Yep, it looks like Tyler is just choosing to arsenal one of those cards in his hand. So normally what you would see is the Prism player ending the turn by playing an aura. Sometimes Prism players will choose not to play just one aura because one aura is easy to destroy. It's really those turns where they can play either 2 heralds or 2 auras that things really get out of hand. Joe over here activating Bravo's Star of the Show ability, coming in here, giving this Evergreen +2, Dominate and Go Again. So this is a 5 Dominate Go Again coming at Tyler's face. Sorry, a 7 Dominate Go Again.
And it'll be interesting to see because he showed the Channel Lake Frigid here, which is an incredibly powerful card in this matchup. So it'll be interesting to see if he elects to swing Hammer with it or potentially set it in Arsenal to maybe play it next turn.
Yeah, when you have heroes that like to go again, as Prism does with all of her auras attacking, making each of those cost an extra resource can be devastating on a turn. But it looks like Joe has decided to come in with the hammer, using that Channel Lake Frigid to give it the Frostbite on hit effect.
Yeah. And I think with how Tyler blocked, I think that's perfectly fine. It's basically committing to essentially not having a turn this turn, so just, again, forcing more cards out of hand. And Tyler has no turn but to either play the blue or Arsenal. So
yeah, and it looks like we're seeing a Pierce Reality. This is one of the new auras that boosts the first Illusionist attack card each turn. So it won't boost auras attacking, but if he does come in with a Herald or Miraging Metamorph, that'll get +2 from the Pierce Reality, should Joe let it stick around.
So Joe not crowning on his turn, electing to go to his turn in Tunic. So he either must have it in hand or must have some sort of go again in hand already.
Or yeah, he could be happy with his hand. Looks like we're seeing a flash out of Arsenal, giving one of Joe's expensive cards go again. So here we have Autumn's Touch coming in for 6 go again, thanks to the flash. This one going in at Tyler's face. Now, in general, what is the strategy for Bravo Star of the Show into Prism?
It's just you want to keep the board as clear as possible, and just force as much pressure while also clearing an aura every turn. Because when you start to get behind on auras and they can just play out things like Genesis, and start to build a board, starts building shields, it can get incredibly scary for you because it's surprising that he didn't play that on his turn, but I guess going in double aura, getting the double aura down is actually really good because now Joe's a little bit behind on tempo and he put 2 of probably the best auras together because now he has to choose Haze Bending or Genesis because they're both brutal if you just let them sit there.
Yeah, Haze Binding, basically when another aura dies, Tyler's going to get a Spectral Shield. An aura including Haze Binding, I should say. And Genesis being very powerful at the beginning of the turn, letting you basically filter a card in exchange for a draw and another aura. So lots of powerful stuff. Joe over here activated Starvo's ability again, coming in to Tyler's face with this Evergreen here, a red one coming in for 9, Dominate Go Again. And then Joe will have a choice. Is he going to attack the Haze Binding or the Genesis?
Tyler electing to take all of this damage makes me think that he has either the ability to double aura again, or has the ability to really set up with Genesis, use it around.
Yeah, and we see Joe playing this Winter's Bite to try and get a card out of Tyler's hand. Still 2 floating though, so if Tyler was going to snap down an instant, he does have resources to do that. And it looks like that's exactly what he's doing with this Ode to Wrath over here.
Yep. I like the idea there because it forces, if Joe doesn't play the Winter's Bite there, that would force Tyler Tyler would have just been able to pitch that blue and use the Tunic resource to play the Ode, which then would have also allowed him to Arsenal this turn. So basically Joe traded the Winter's Bite for an Arsenal. Now he's going to probably take a lot of damage from this Ode this turn, but he's forced him down to 25, and Tyler's going the next turn with no Arsenal.
Yeah, that's right. Tyler using the classic move of activating Prism's ability to take a card from Soul to create a Spectral Shield, mainly to get this Yellow Herald into his pitch zone, giving all of these auras Go Again. With Go Again, plus the Ode to Wrath, every time they hit, that's 1 damage plus another one, so a possible 8 damage coming in with these 4 auras this turn, though Joe only has to block each of them for 1 to prevent those 2 damage.
So, question for you, Andy. Genesis haze bending on the field. Which one are you swinging at? Are you taking out Genesis or are you taking out haze bending?
I'll be honest, I was faced with this during a few of my ProQuest matches. Actually, 2 turns in a row, my opponent got a Genesis and a haze bending out. It was a game lost for me. But in general, we talked about it, me and Will Harrison afterwards, and we both agreed that the Genesis is the bigger threat because not only does it give you that Spectral Shield, but it lets you filter your hand a little bit more to get into those more multiple aura turns. So I think Joe did make probably the right decision here. Haze bending and Genesis, definitely top tier auras that you want to get rid of. The other one being that new Shimmers of Silver. So I'm anticipating Joe to try and get rid of that haze bending this turn, but we'll see what he does. He kept all 5 of the cards in hand, or 4 cards plus the arsenal.
He did. He just took 8 from all of the Spectral Shields, or well, all of the auras there. So that's, I think Joe is planning on clearing both auras this turn, especially by playing the Lead the Charge here.
Yeah, lead the charge is fun because it gives you an additional action point. Normally, when you attack one of these auras and Spectra hits, it will end the combat chain, and because Go Again doesn't trigger, you're done from there for the turn. But because you get the extra combat, or the extra action point from Lead the Charge, this is a card that lets you attack multiple auras in a single turn. So against Prism, you can tell this was a sideboard specifically for this matchup in Starvo. Yeah, and Joe here knocking out both the haze bending and the Ode to Wrath. Both of those out of the way. All Tyler has left on the board right now are Spectral Shield tokens, which can be gotten rid of en masse by dealing a lot of damage to the Prism player's face.
Ooh, this is not great. So Tyler goes to his turn, plays a Merciful, and he's got the 3 Spectral Shields up. So Joe's definitely going to take 3 damage at some point. It's hopefully the last card there is not a defense reaction that he's going to put in Arsenal, and Joe can basically force that damage through on the Spectral Shields, because if they just sit there and linger, it's going to be rough sledding. You can see Joe being very disciplined in clearing the auras and staying on that plan. But Merciful is probably, I think, one of the best Prism auras right now, just because of the ability to get cards in Soul, especially in this matchup where Starvo is doing everything in its power to make sure that you can't get a single card in your Soul, breaking the Heralds. And the deck is running less cards that go in the Soul anyway, so.
Yeah, sometimes you see the Starvo player playing something like a Heart of Ice in order to be able to activate not only the Heart of Ice ability, but the Arcane Barrier, which would prevent the Merciful Retribution's attack. Over here, Joe is not running any Arcane Barrier, so the only thing he can do to stop Arcane damage is activate the Crown of Seeds. Right now, no card in Arsenal. He did that on Tyler's turn. So if he were to attack that Merciful Retribution, that would also be 1 damage coming back at him. We also see here another Haze Bending. This is number 2. Now, faced with the haze bending and the Merciful Retribution, I might actually target the haze bending first, because over the course of the game, getting rid of the Merciful Retribution would produce another Spectral Shield with that haze bending there, and that just means more damage coming at me next turn. Looks like Joe is getting rid of that Merciful Retribution, though, triggering its ability to deal 1 arcane damage, and then it goes to Soul. But right now, at least Joe won't have to worry about any damage coming back at him were he to attack another aura.
Yeah, and I think the Merciful, because if you swing it haze bending first, you generate 2 more Spectral Shields, and the Spectral Shields are starting to build right now, and he can only take so much arcane damage, so he would take 2 pings of arcane, which you start to get lower on life. It's one thing that you have to be very aware of is letting that arcane damage or letting the Spectral Shields build up, because you could just die in an instant attacking into the Prism.
Yeah, and it looks like Joe here played a blink, which gives him another action point. This is another way where you can get around the fact that Spectra breaking stops the combat chain. The additional action point from blink, played as an instant, means that Joe can come in to attack another aura or do whatever else he wants this turn. Looks like he'll be coming in with an Oakenold, and is this at Tyler's face? Unfused for 7 damage, I think.
I think it is because they've not immediately resolved it. It makes sense though because the 4 spectral shields is Tyler wants to protect that right now. So if he attacks the haze bending and he just lets him go, that's surprising. If he attacks the haze bending, he has 4 spectral shields and 4 cards in hand. He's gonna do a lot of damage to Joe.
Ooh, yeah. Looks like Tyler decided to let that get through, take the damage, in order to get out of Genesis. We have a second Genesis and a second Haze Bending, both on the field at the same time. And Tyler is making use of that Genesis now by getting rid of his Herald in order to draw another card and put up a Spectral Shield. Now, also, Nate, we have a question from Justin the Salmon asking, what's up with those Snapdragons that we see on the Starvo?
Yeah, so I mean, Snapdragon, the way you lose in the Prism is not being able to attack the shields and an aura in a turn. If you can do only one of those things, that's when the game just snowballs out of hand. So the Snapdragons is extra insurance to be able to throw like a red lightning surge from hand, and then just Snapdragon or like a Heaven's Claws, anything to be able to force damage at the Prism and still swing at the auras. And now we're seeing Joe just put in an absolute terrible position with the Miraging Metamorph.
Yeah, if Joe pops that Miraging Metamorph, Tyler has the option to copy Genesis or Haze Bending. Definitely cards that Joe does not want extra copies showing up of.
No, and it's if he copies Haze Bending, that is like the game right there. I like to refer to Miraging Metamorph as the FU take 7 card, because there's almost no situations in which you're popping that.
Yeah. Joe did play a Blizzard there, and Tyler, unable to pay the cost, will get rid of the Go again on the Miraging Metamorph, so at least those auras won't be coming in for damage this turn. Let's see how Joe chooses to prevent this 7 damage coming at him.
Pitching the Crippling Crush to Crown here, so he must have a really red hand. Obviously, the Crippling Crush can't block here because it would break it. And also probably doesn't do a whole lot in his hand this turn anyways. So might also be the reason. He might be saving the blue to swing Hammer at one of the auras. But this is definitely the turn where Joe's going to be put behind and it's going to need to play really tight to catch back up.
Yeah, it looks like he's taking 4 out of those 7 after the Crown prevents 1 and the Crater Fist blocks 2. Let's see what Joe's able to do now with this 3-card hand into these 2 very powerful auras. Looks like he'll just be swinging up a Genesis then.
Yeah, I think that's correct. He doesn't want him to get more cards in the soul here. It's just Genesis and Haze Bending are just really strong auras, so it's a tough decision, but he wants to deplete that soul so Tyler can't just pitch a yellow and go wide on him in the future. But I think he has he's got 2 cards in soul right now, so he should be good for at least a couple turns. But dropping another aura here.
Yeah, we actually see Tyler pitching that 3rd Genesis. So if this game does get too long, Tyler knows he has that in reserve. Parable of Humility is a fun one because it basically prevents each of the damage, or makes all the damage that Joe does 1 less. So if Joe were to attack him, it would stop overall. It's very powerful when you have heroes that like to go again a lot. It may not be as powerful against Bravo Star of the Show, but it is still another aura that has Spectra that, unless you kill it, is going to be coming in every turn for damage.
It's interesting that he chose to play the Parable here instead of the Genesis. I think the Genesis on Joe's turn would have been a stronger play. it leads the last card in his hand must either be only a light or illusionist card, because he could have pitched the Parable instead of the Genesis to play it, and then put that card in the soul and created the Spectral Shield, pitched, and just gone wide. Unless he wanted the guarantee that he could go 4 wide here with his little Kadachi army.
Yeah, I think at this point you want to guarantee that go again. It looks like the last card in his hand is blue, coming in with that Pierce Reality. So that is an illusionist card that is not a light card, as you predicted.
Yeah, this is not a great spot to be in this, Joe. He's not been fusing. I don't know the makeup of his deck. I think it's going to lean towards a higher element count, but definitely not fusing with the regularity that he would obviously like to be able to pressure both the Spectral Shields and the Auras each turn, and the health.
And we see a Pulse of Eisenloft pitched there, so probably that he didn't draw Lightning in either of those 2 remaining cards. Usually when you pitch a Pulse and you didn't fuse, that means that you weren't drawing as well as you wanted.
Yeah, and you saw him block with the Autumn's Touch there just to preserve health, so his hand must have been really rough.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
yeah, Tyler right now has 5 auras.
Yeah, 5 auras on board, 2 Spectre auras in a full grip here. So this is hopefully he has a really terrible hand. But we see the 3rd Miraging Metamorph, which is just at this point backbreaking because he's pitching an Arclight Sentinel, which and Joe's choosing to pop it.
Yeah, Joe deciding that a Pierce Reality or a Parable of Humility in copy worth not having this damage. The Miraging Metamorph here, because of that Piercing Reality, is coming in for 9 damage instead of just the 7. So that's quite a bit to take when you're only at 17 life.
Yeah, he's got 2 Parables now. I do not see an out for Joe here. He's paid to get his action point back, and now he is swinging 6 times. Joe has 3 cards left in hand. He can Crown and Shield to protect some life, but he's going to take at least 4 damage. Unless he decides to block with Crater Fist, and he's still got 2 cards in hand.
Yeah, Crown preventing 1, Shield preventing 1, the rest coming in. And Tyler ending it with a Shimmers of Silver. This is that last very powerful, majestic aura coming in Everfest. Basically, from now on, when Tyler attacks with his auras, one of them is going to get a +1/+1 counter, or a +1 damage counter, which just makes it bigger and badder. And yeah, he's got quite the board state right now.
Yeah, with the 2 Parables on board, even basically Bravo's character text now says dominate and go again because the +2 is negated by the 2 Parables.
Yeah, Joe is revealing all of the cards necessary to activate Bravo's ability. And he's coming in to Tyler's face with this Autumn Touch for 7 dominate and go again, thanks to those 2 Parables. Ooh, Tyler playing a 3rd Parable as an instant. So that's going to be -3 from the Autumn's Touch. Definitely a rough situation for the Starvo player.
If you were to draw a game like how you wanted the game to go as a Prism player, this is pretty close to exactly how you would want a game to go against the Starvo.
Yeah, and it's worth noting, despite 3 Parable of Humility on the board, Joe did choose to get rid of the Shimmers of Silver. That just shows how powerful some of these auras can be. All of Joe's attacks are at -3, and he's not worried about that. He's worried about what Shimmers will do coming at him in attacks.
Yeah, Joe's only out here is a Channel Lake. Like he needs to draw Channel Lake and not die this turn, and hopefully just stun what Tyler can come back into him with. But he's coming in with 5 auras here. He has no arsenal, so he can't crown. He does have a Tunic up, so he can at least pay with Tunic to block with Shield. But he's going to take at least probably 4 damage unless he chooses to block with Crater Fist. And Tyler's still got 2 cards in hand.
Yeah, sometimes the Prism players can be sneaky, coming in with all their auras, and then pop, here's a Herald, surprise, when you thought you might have gotten rid of everything.
And there's
And it
the
looks like we
revelation.
have, yeah, this is probably the most powerful ability on any of the heralds. It basically gives you 2 cards, and it has dominate. So Joe would have to be able to use his shield, his crater fist, or his tunic, and a 3-block card in order to prevent Tyler from getting those 2 additional draws, which could be another herald coming in, pitching a card to play it, or another aura coming in after that.
Well,
Erudition this
this is
game.
coming in for 7 because of Pierce, so he has to pop
Oh,
it.
that's
He has
right.
no other choice.
Yeah, good call there. Yeah, this is he's got to activate the Spectra ability, or not Spectra, the Phantasm to pop
Yeah.
this, or else it will be coming with that effect very heavy.
I think Joe has it in hand. He's just trying to figure out what he's going to do with his life if he pops it. And I don't think that's the hard part is like, are you going to have a turn if you pop it? Because he needs to be able to threaten that one shield. Even though it doesn't seem very threatening, he's going to make another shield next turn and
Yeah,
continue the swing.
yeah. Thanks to the Parables of Humility, also his Joe's attacks have -1 not only while attacking but while defending. So you can't just have something with 6 power to pop the Phantasm. You have to have 9 power, and so we saw that crippling crush coming in. 11 less 3 is still over the threshold, but that was Joe is not in a very good place right now. I definitely think Tyler has a strong field advantage at the moment.
Yeah, Joe's out his Channel Lake. If he doesn't have Channel Lake, there we go.
All right, so Joe has Channel Lake. What does that mean for us going forward?
Every time he tries to swing for 1, it costs him 1. The issue is that he has a full grip, so he can likely pay for a lot of it, but it does mean that he probably also wouldn't be able to come in with an aura, or not aura, herald. Because he's going to have to pay for 1 for each, so he's going to have to at least pitch 5 and then pay for a potential herald, which seems unlikely. I think I think Tyler's considering responding to this.
Yeah, in response to the Channel Lake, he could still play one of his instant auras, only for 4 resources, but it looks like he let that resolve, and Joe is coming in with the hammer, getting rid of one of those parables. So 2 parables left on the board still, Channel Lake Frigid for Joe, and we'll see what Tyler does with 4 cards in his hand and 4 auras on the board.
The nice part, like, so I don't know how many cards Tyler has left in Soul. I think he might only have 1 left in Soul.
Yeah, Tyler's Soul just has the 1 more Soul Retribution right now.
The unfortunate part about Channel Lake is it also means that he doesn't have to burn a Soul card. Oh, and he's just choosing to come in for 9 with War Tune.
Yeah, War Tune
think,
costing 1 more. That's the whole yellow strip from Arclight. It does have Go again, and it is 9 damage, which... Sorry, 8 damage because it's yellow.
What card? Yeah, he's coming in for 8. The only thing that can pop it is going to be Spinal or Crippling.
And it looks like Joe is just choosing to block.
Block 6. Take 2. Goes to Soul.
Yep. Block 6 goes down to 6. And now we've got Tyler pitching a blue, which means that at least 3 auras could get in. Joe going all the way down to 3. Letting Tyler arsenal that last card.
Now the other thing that Joe needs to be cognizant of is we've only seen 1 Merciful Retribution. So if he can get more Spectral Shields in play, Joe only has 3 life. I don't think he's playing any life game. And Tyler's at 19. So it looks like the Channel Lake is going to be going away here because he could keep it in play.
Yeah, Joe doesn't seem to have the ice cards to pitch in order to keep that around, and he is choosing to attack another one of those Parables of Humility, popping its Spectra on his turn. So Tyler is going to have 3 auras, 4 cards in hand, and 1 card in arsenal, with Joe at 3 life, and just the card in arsenal over there.
Tyler choosing to draw his tunic.
Yeah,
instead of
that
putting it
happens
back.
to everybody on Tabletop Simulator. You go to hit the number 3, instead you end up having your cursor over the card. Card goes to
Yeah,
hand, and
yeah.
all
And
right.
then the ultimate Kadachi lock
Yeah,
is
we
now
have
in place.
all of these auras are going to have go again, thanks to Luminaris with that yellow parable in the pitch zone. And Joe's just going to have to choose how low does he want to go before risking blocking whatever heralds or other cards Taylor might present.
I don't think he can go any lower. I think he has to give up Tunic and Greater Fist here, and then hope that he can pop whatever Herald gets thrown at him. Because if he takes any damage, at this point he auto loses the Merciful anyways, so I guess he can't play around it.
Yep, and it looks like here we do have that Merciful Retribution coming in. So if any of these auras pop, they're going to have 1 arcane damage coming in towards Joe. So unless Joe can get lethal in an attack, these 2 Spectral Shields popping will be the end of the game. The Crown of Seeds could potentially stop one, but that would be very difficult just to get those in and have Crown. A lot of setup there, and I don't think he'll be alive enough to do that.
I don't think so. He's giving up Tunic here to the Merciful. Tyler still has 1 card in Arsenal, 1 card in hand, so yeah. Oh no, yeah. And
Yeah, here we have the first passing Mirage. This one gets rid of Phantasm from the first of Tyler's Illusionist attacks. So, yeah, 6 auras on the board, Merciful Retribution. I think this game is pretty decided at this point.
we haven't seen Tyler pitch in Merciful Retribution, have we?
I don't recall.
Yeah, so he's definitely, it's either in his arsenal or he's going to see the 3rd one soon, because I don't think I've seen one pitched yet, and he hasn't played any since. So, I mean, Joe can. It's odd that he chose to. Is
Yeah, it looks like Joe is playing an Oakenold, coming to face, choosing to take the arcane damage and end the game. Tyler revealing now all of those defense reactions he's had at the ready.
Yeah, yeah. That's about as bad as it can go, and it's part of the I think you talked about it earlier. One of the reasons to run Hard Device is to protect you from those situations. It's also another way to keep Channel Link around because it's a resource sink. But that was definitely not how you want to draw those matchups up when you're playing a Starbow.
Yeah, well, here we have the second game of week 2 for the series between Top Deck Keep and the Hyperloops. Tyler Horspool from Top Deck Keep taking the win. And this is Andy Modell over here with Nate. And thank you very much for watching. We hope to see you next time. Have a